Well, hello, that's me again, and it is Sunday, March 13th, and yet again there is the reason for you to see my ugly face and for me to talk to you guys about some events which are important and discuss a little bit wider framework. And I want you to, for those of you who listens to me and who know about the existence of my blog, they should know that I also refer and defer to Andrei Rayevsky, also known as Saker. And I want you to, if you have the time today, to go to his wonderful blog and read the funny and really poignant piece written by funny man, which talks about when amateurs think strategy, generals think logistics, or why Ukraine is doomed, although I would disagree a little bit with his interpretation of this, because the other iteration, so to speak, of this truism is that when amateurs discuss tactics, professionals discuss logistics. And this is exactly what is this all about. And I want to kind of review some news. And again, don't expect from me some funny faces and drawing all those arrows and maps. And the only reason for me not doing this, unlike it is done by all those amateurs and those people who never served a day in the armed forces, let alone have a professional military background and education. But hey, they're in it for the money and, you know, promotion and monetization. I do not want to deny the fact that I also expect for some people, you know, to support me on Patreon, and I write books, obviously not for free, I write them for money. But again, there's a huge difference between what people, those amateurs, try to present here as the tactical analysis. There's nothing tactical about it, and there's certainly not analysis. It's basically a collection and reiteration of the rumors. But we will talk about something which we can say, you know, with a good degree of reliability, are reliable sources. And as of today, we can say that, in accordance to the Russian Defense Ministry, the number of destroyed tanks is of Ukrainian forces is 389 tanks, 770 armored personnel carriers, 1,200 something, all kinds of other things. And that brings us back to the thing which I've been talking about for a while. And again, I just don't like to pretend that I know what is going on the ground there, because I don't have any access to that. But point is, what West haven't learned and refuses to learn is that when Vladimir Putin says something, he 99.9% means what he says. And again, when he stated about the operation of Russia in Ukraine as having two major fundamental political objectives of the demilitarization and denazification, many people still, again, you know, like all those so-called military experts on the American side, especially in mainstream media, all those generals and colonels and all those, you know, guys, bar some exceptions of the level of, say, Scott Ritter, they started to, you know, pull all those good old Gulf War, you know, Desert Storm BS, which has nothing to do at all and has no parallels with what the Russians do. And Vladimir Putin was explicit about demilitarization. And when one begins to look at how the planning of Russian operations is conducted and what is happening, then I can tell you absolutely now, correctly, once the kind of fog of war of the initial days kind of dissipated, that, yeah, it is demilitarization. It is the systemic, continuous annihilation of military potential and armed forces of Ukraine. Well, including, of course, neo-Nazi battalions. And the latest news, which is, and we know Ukraine already just about to win Russia, annihilate all Russian air forces and capture Moscow, so we know that. I mean, CNN tells us that. All kinds of American generals say that, yeah, Russians are about to collapse, implode, and surrender to glorious Ukraine. But a reality, of course, today, which the small factor, which is very important, that even VSU and Zelensky administration cannot even deny. The fact of the Salvo, people say 6, others say 8 calibers at Yavoriv or Yavorsky range, the polygon, which was inherited by Ukraine from Soviet times, and it's a huge combination of their ranges, shooting ranges, and all kinds of the obstacle courses for the combined arms operation. It's like about 25 kilometers in length. And this was the place where the CIA and all those advisors from all those, mercenary companies from NATO were preparing this precisely the grouping which is being destroyed now of the VSU. It's about 80,000 people on the east, and this cauldron have been already split into several cauldrons, and the grinding of those forces continues. And yeah, these are the best guys. They were NATO trained. Some of them had like NATO type, command and control. It's all gone now. It's basically the combination of a lot of military junk which does not move, because obviously VSU or Ukrainian armed forces are running out of fuel. There you go. That's why you need a standoff weapons. And obviously after this salvo of those calibers and Yavorsky polygon or range, we have the confirmed fact of 180 mercenaries being gone forever. They were killed, and we don't know the number of wounded there, but probably a very large number, and these people are not going anywhere. And even today on Twitter we have this situation with this, a fanboy from Brazil who wanted to go and kill Russians. Well, guess what? He now understood a little bit that what real combined arms warfare is against the peer power. Not even peer, I would say superior power. And that's what people don't understand when they look at the pictures and videos. There are plenty of them on YouTube, and there are pictures all over the place about what was left of from the location where those mercenaries were gathering together and trying to train for the combat cohesion, because I mean, as number itself means absolutely nothing. You need to be a unit, you need to be a subunit or unit to have any kind of the combat value. But again, they really didn't understand, and I'm talking about many people who are professional mercenaries who have been killing civilians all over the place, from Afghanistan to Iraq and what have you, Syria. So yeah, these are all those soldiers of fortune who have been basically brought up on this propaganda BS of the Gulf Wars, and they thought, yeah, we go down, kill some Ruskies, get paid for this, and hey, there you go. Well, the problem is, of course, as I already stated, it's the field of American or Western general military analysis, bar some important exceptions. There are exceptions. There are real professionals. There are people who do understand how things work. It's embarrassing field. You have all those generals and all that, bunch of the political scientists who pretend that they know how the war is fought, and they talk about this like, oh yeah, we're gonna, kill this and that. Well, you're not. And in the real situation, when you look at the Yavorsky range today, this is how the rear of any NATO country or the whole NATO combined force would look like if you fight, let's say, Russia. Because obviously it is one thing to blowing shit with impunity, totally another of having really serious fire response and sustained fire impact from the high precision standoff weaponry, and yeah, having your communications and command control centers destroyed, your storage and depots destroyed, so, and then your personnel being maimed and killed and sustaining those horrendous wounds, and if they are not killed. So yeah, this is totally different thing. I mean, that's the real war. That's the real war between combined arms forces, combined arms armies. This is the war when you have the actual air force which performs in the state of the art and which is operating on the, within the net-centric warfare paradigm. And of course, when you have the air defense, which basically shoots down pretty much anything you throw at it. So that's the situation. That's what they didn't understand. And now this Brazilian dude who is, accidentally alive, he's like in shell-shocked. Well, welcome to the real world. It is real world. This is warfare. And for those boys and girls who do this quote-unquote analysis by drawing, all those arrows and circles on the maps, and who talk about this tactics on that tactics, well, guys, don't try. You have to have enough integrity, like me, for example, in this particular case. I know it doesn't sound to be as being humble, but yeah, I mean, I don't talk about things I don't know. I'm not on the ground there, but I do not make a large generalization, especially tactical, quote unquote, about matters without having a very substantial confront information, and then I can basically start talking about the operational and strategic matters. And when you have like fakes from Ukraine just pouring out there, I mean, yeah, you're not gonna get far with that. You're gonna basically embarrass yourself, and that's what is happening pretty much at this stage, especially now that the bubble of this propaganda BS is being popped a little bit. And this is just a matter in terms of military things. So, and we can sit here and discuss how many tanks or how many what have been, destroyed, how many casualties are on both sides. The truth of the matter is, VSU, or Armed Forces of Ukraine, they ceased to exist as organized force. We're looking now at the phase one of the demilitarization kind of getting to a close, and that is why nobody expects, like, oh, let's go and take this city or that city and do something. You don't need to. And when we say that, and I say this, that Russia is not gonna occupy Ukraine, people say, oh, but who is gonna denazify it? Well, there will be some people who will help, there's no doubt about it, but this would be Ukrainians. So read a wonderful piece by Dmitry Orlov, who says, yeah, this will be Ukrainians themselves who will denazify. And once the basically SBU, and which is being destroyed, and all those neo-Nazis and the armed forces, the repression machine is destroyed completely, which is kind of reaching this point in Ukraine. There are already signs that people will kind of shake off this horror and this state of being shell-shocked, and there will be many people who would really like to be neutral, independent, and not enemies of Russia, especially for people like in Melitopol or in Kherson, where Russia already begins to pay the pensions and social payments. My gosh, believe me, this works much better than any kind of Iskander or Caliber. People begin to see the actual thing. So there you go. That's what is going to happen. And for people, now I want to defer to wonderful Russian military, real expert, the former General Staff Colonel Vladimir Trukhan, that for people who think that Russians want to, run in on their, or enter on their white horses, with their banners, floating in the wind into Kiev or Odessa, no, don't expect it. It's the main thing now is to destroy everything what's left of the armed forces of Ukraine, and then let people block the cities as it is happening right now. Basically, well, Mariupol is different because it's going to be liberated and it's about to be liberated, but most cities will be blocked. The humanitarian corridors will be open, people will be allowed again out, and that's what's going to be happening. It's going to be squeezing and strangling the basically supply and whatever is left, resources left in the cities of the present government, which is basically a neo-Nazi government, and fact is it's not even government, if to put it politely. So, and Nazi forces will be destroyed completely, and as I already stated, since yesterday, they started to catch those people of Azov Nazi Battalion and all those kinds of mercenaries. The security forces of LDNR and FSB are extremely good at catching those, and those people are going to be facing the tribunal, war crimes tribunal, and they will be very valuable resources and witnesses to basically war crimes which will be discussed, including those by the West, obviously, by the United States and the NATO member countries. And so there you go. That's what is happening now, and it's going really well, actually. And there is a lot of professional jealousy and butthurt and sour grapes on the some American and Western side, because they never encountered anything like this. So it's a combination, and as Pepe Escobar said, it is police action. It is combined arms police action, and so just observe. And some people say that Russia might open another front. Somewhere possible, I don't know, I'm just saying, when I speculate, I say to you, I speculate, and I speculate in this particular instance. Possible. So, we'll see. But it proceeds as planned, and it's doing well. Now, another thing, economic sanctions, and Jake Sullivan today says that he is going to threaten and warn and punish China if China does something to help Russia against the West. Well, sure, I'm sure Chinese are shaking in their boots from Jake Sullivan's statements about this, and yeah, that is why Russia and China have their trade growing just tremendously. But if that hasn't been enough, we can open the other really interesting piece of news, which is from the Hindustan Times, no less. And as you know, China is this small, insignificant, I'm being facetious, of course, country in the Eurasian subcontinent of 1.3 billion people and a huge economy. And this is what Hindustan Times report today, and I quote, India is stepping closer to setting up an alternative payment system to maintain its trade with Russia, identifying a potential bank. As the top panel examining the issue recommended prioritizing edible oil and fertilizer imports as well as payments owed to India, and officials aware of the developments have said. It is basically the complete dedollarization in all of its glory, and Russia and India will be transitioning to a complete trade in rupees and rubles. You don't need a dollar, if you are a military superpower such as Russia, or really significant power such as India, yeah, you can go and do anything you want, because the United States is not going to do anything about it. If you are Libya, then yes, combined West comes and bombs the hell out of you, changes regime, turns once prosperous country in the shithole, and bang. You see, everything is according to Western plans. If you're talking about India and Russia, by the way, India also has nuclear weapons, just in case, yeah, you can trade oil, whatever, in gold, in ruble, in rupee, in yuan, and obviously the now Внешторгbank, Russian Внешторгbank, offers its clients the yuan portfolio, and many people are doing this. Yeah, you cannot use dollars, you cannot use euros, so what are you going to do? You're going to use the respective currencies. This is what military superpower gives you. It gives you the sense of security and being, insulated from any kind of the pressure, like it is done to the third world countries, or like small Arab countries, again, like Libya, or Iraq for that matter. So it is all Ledeen doctrine. Michael Ledeen of the American Enterprise Institute, former Reagan neocon of neocons, who said, yeah, every 10 years we have to take some crappy little country and throw it against the wall to show that we mean business. Well, now Russia just did the same and showed that she means business, and guess what? Go try to do something about it. You cannot do that. And this is kind of the, so to speak, background of the things which are happening right now, and we're gonna see only acceleration of the de-dollarization. And basically, what is transpiring now, it is not the isolation of Russia, let's say. Obviously, Russia is sanctioned by the West, but it's, for all intents and purposes, it is isolation of the West. People have to understand for many years now, for many decades actually, that there are very many people outside in the outside world. In fact, I would say there are a majority of those people who have been seeing what West was doing to other countries and to other people. It's sanctions or bombing or sanctions. And so how do you think people think about it? Obviously, they didn't like it. Some couldn't say it openly because they were afraid, but now that basically military political balance shifted dramatically in favor of the Eurasia, especially headed by Russia and economically headed by China. So people begin to say things. People begin to finally drop or shake off this fear, and they're talking. And they stating their position, and this is not favorable for the West. The people have to understand this. I mean, West is not the it thing it used to be. 30 years ago, it was powerful. It was enjoying the moment in the sun in the history, which was very short-lived, but not anymore. And some people say there are rumors, and again, rumors, I speculate, don't quote me on that. But you know that very many rumors as of lately coming out of Russia they have this propensity to become actuality, not just rumors. And we're looking at the possibility of Russia just simply shutting down the whole damn energy thing to the West and saying, yeah, just go screw yourself. Can this happen? Oh, yeah. And people say, oh, let's do the counter sanctions from Russia. People look at the oil prices or the crude prices and gas prices, and Russia didn't even start to do the counter sanctions. And yeah, if you think so that $8 a gallon somewhere in Los Angeles are not counter sanctions, well, I have a bridge to sell you. So you don't have to be explicit. You don't have to be this show off. You don't have to talk trash all the time as the Western elites do. Which, by the way, doing so, they expose their weakness and their susceptibility to the damage, much of which they inflict upon themselves. And they don't understand this. It's evidently the lack of culture, it's the lack of understanding of the conflict and the nature of conflict and warfare when you begin to, thump your chest and saying that, oh, we're so great. No, you're not. Precisely because you continue to say that, as if you need to reinforce your huge complex of inferiority, and some of them, they feel it. And yeah, the West of 2022 is not the West of 1982 or 1992. The same goes for the United States. As I already stated, I love the country. We moved and we're U.S. citizens, but I'm absolutely abhorred. I'm heartbroken, seeing what is happening to the country. It's being driven totally nuts, and it's being destroyed economically. This is not the United States I remember from mid-90s to even 2005. It is a completely different country. It's unrecognizable, basically. And people say, well, it is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. And the United States is not anymore the hegemon, which was to, grossly overstated to start with, but it is what it is. And that is what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. And we're going to be talking more about this whole paradigm shift. So, and as always, those who can afford, please support me on Patreon. It helps tremendously. It helps me to maintain my activity and deliver as much as I can, whatever the minuscule wisdoms I have. And of course, subscribe to my channel. And that's pretty much it. Have a really nice the rest of your weekend. I'll talk to you later, people. Bye-bye.